welcome back YouTubers to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're new, I'm Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness and sharing my life stories with autism and mental health, along with taking you all on a journey along with fun and games. So if you're into any of these, feel free to smash the subscribe on the bottom right hand corner, as well as in doing so turn on the notification bell, because you don't want to miss any of these future videos based on what I'm sharing, hopefully to educate and advocate to you all. So this one's obviously is coming of late, as I mentioned, of the Autism and Executive Functioning. This is part 2, talking about it on an autistic perspective, on my point of view of what I do in a way of it all, as well as some of the hacks I do for my executive functioning, because as you're aware, basically, as I mentioned in the first video, if you've not seen it, of the Autism and Execution of Functioning, I'll link it in the iBar in the description of what it is and the actual aspects of executive functioning, along with some tips and advice of what you shall do for your child with autism or what have you. So it's just to bear in mind also, it's important to know that not all people with autism spectrum disorders may have these issues of some kind of the executive function of the aspects that I have clearly mentioned, and they may vary from person to person. For instance, an individual might have the ability to plan but lack the initiation to follow through what they were planning. So, you know, or they might be able to problem solve once in a while, but then it's just a matter of once they realize there is actually a problem but are unable to verbalize it or what have you, because you've got to remember, as I said so many times before, many autistics are non-verbal or verbal on the autism spectrum. So therefore you'll get some that will, you know, work wonders in the way of being able to communicate with their peers, some with not. Some may be able to initiate play, some may not, whatever else it may be. This topic can be a little difficult for me to share with you all, but I'm going to try and do the best I can to tell you what it is. I'm going to be upfront and honest about it, and or in this particular sense, I'll do my utmost best to actually explain to you all about what it is to me about autism functioning, executive functioning, with these hacks that I'm going to share with you all. You know, so bear with me. You know, with my experience as an autistic, or before I was clearly diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome at the age of 16, 17, which I've mentioned my story about my diagnosis, and I'll link that in the iBar as well as in the description below as well. But just to bear in mind, you know, many autistic people struggle with executive functioning, or the executive function differences, regardless what they are. So you may be questioning, how does this affect me of my executive functioning? You know, either with my long-term or short-term memory. I can recall some things. Sometimes, like, many people get really angry with me, but I can recall dates, times of past, present events, and then it's like, stay away from the past is the past, blah blah blah. But you got to bear in mind, this is part of a skill set basically that, you know, autistics have, which is called the savant skills, right? Savant skills basically is another skill set in itself for autistics, which I'll clearly put that also in the iBar as well as in the description below to try and make this short and sweet. Some, like I said, it annoys the crap out of people that I can recall some of it. You know, yes, they have a fair valid point that I shouldn't be living in the past or what have you, if they think that, or try not to overthink about the past of what may have happened in a past traumatic experience versus basically just something that may have just triggered me in a way of it all. But for now, the working memory for executive functionality is that I have difficulty sometimes keeping or retaining some of the short facts, just bear in mind, and information in regards to whatever it may be in my head. So therefore, many of us autistics may carry around some sort of visual schedule, as well as a diary, planner, maybe something on the phone to help them remind them what they need to do. So when I was younger, or as a student long ago, I made sure that every course I've been to, or even the schools that I've been to, had a course outlined, listing throughout the day what's expected of me to do, of the course objectives versus basically maybe along with the course objectives have some keywords in the objectives or whatever it may be, and then I start highlighting and whatnot. Sometimes 9 times out of 10 when I'm doing that with the visual schedule and everything else that's laid in front of me, I'll go over and over again with pen and paper, or even sometimes I used to take my laptop to some courses and I'll just type away like crazy, keep typing and to keep retaining that information. Or in some other ways I brainstormed it out, so just trying to, brainstorm the keywords, branch off some of the keywords and maybe write down some of the definitions beside the keywords. Or in saying this, also to retain my information, I would have some illustrations beside the keywords or something along those lines, so that it just helps me. Along with that, basically, I've also, back in the day, used to have a dictator phone beside me, so then therefore I can refer back to it on tape, or in this case it was a USB dictator phone, so I can plug it back into my PC and just listen that way. Also, in saying this, while I'm doing it, sometimes I'll make some rhymes or rhythms or some sort of poetry or something just to get along with it, depending on each of the subjects, so to speak. This happens. I am now further equip myself now as an adult. Some of these techniques I've still put into place, as well as the tools that will help me to remember what I need to do or what is needed from me to do, be it, to-do list or what have you. I'm all about lists, as I said. I'm all about doing everything that I can to make sure to sort out my priorities from the, top priority that is important to the least important. And then it's a good idea for me, and maybe many autistics, to have that of a to-do list, and then in saying this, that it should be able to give us a fair deal of what needs to be done. And if we can't get it all done in one day, hopefully we can just break it down into smaller chunks. That's how I've learned in a way of trying to get things done. Also, in saying this though, basically, some days I may forget my keys, some days I might, forget my homework diary or calendar, etc, etc. Basically, I used to double check everything in my bags, so I get a bit OCD'd about it. And then I double check about, if I've locked the door, if I've, turned off the lights in the household, and whatever else it may be. And saying this also, basically, it can be frustrating for many of us autistics, or just normal people in general. I feel now as an adult that I'm really hyper organized and focused, and saying this, basically, some days when I get up in the mornings, I just double check to see what sort of clothes I want to wear, and saying that what sort of clothes to wear is depending on what my day will bring, and then I'll bring some spare clothes if need be, and so on and so forth. Sometimes also, just as a keynote, as a reminder, how this works for me is I will add notes to what needs to be done, as I said, like to-do lists, assessments to be done, and that no matter what I need to put in a diary, computer, phone or calendar, this will help me to be super organized and super focused. Keeping a to-do list at hand, regardless if it's on my phone or in a diary or what have you, no matter where I am, I depend heavily on my calendar, my phone, my to-do list, and diary. I work with written instructions into what is needed for me to do throughout the day. As I said before, a course outline, if I was in a course, or even in some jobs that may need some form of outline of me to break down into tasks of what needs to be done, so that it doesn't overwhelm me to the point of no return, and it actually causes me to have a form of meltdown or shutdown phase. I feel right now, in saying this, that this is a skill set of mine that I've got, and this ends about a little bit of my, how I work with my executive functioning and hacks. Just remember, if you have any hacks or tools that work for you and others, feel free to share it in the comment section below. And then also on this, basically, thank you for your support, thanks for watching, and also don't forget also, as I said before, that I've got a Patreon account. If you want to join me on the bandwagon with the Patreon, feel free to do so. And in saying this, it'll be in the screen below here. And also in saying this, I've got a merch store, and just to keep in mind that I'm almost up to date with the creation of the very first merch for Autism Awareness, and I will let you know when that's done. And if you're interested in that, let me know, and I'll hopefully get that on the ball running. And all for the do, guys. Thanks for support. Thanks for watching. Do you love it? Until next time, I'll see you all again soon. Ciao for now.